Hi kindergarten. I hope you enjoyed that mystery science video. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure you do before you watch this video. Okay, so in our mystery science video, we learned about how some scientists were observing, which means that you look closely and you notice things. Now, the scientists in the video, they were using things like a telescope to help them observe. The scientist Galileo did that. And then the other scientist, she was looking at some fossils, and she was using her eyes to look really closely at things. So the tools that she was using were her eyes, and similar with Galileo, he was using the telescope, but it was really his eyes. So we've been learning this week about tools and how they help us explore. So what I'd like for us to do today is we're going to use our tools, our scientist eyes, and we're going to observe together. So today for our activity, you're going to need to make sure you have a piece of paper and a pencil. Okay, so I want you to go get that right now. Pause the video and go get that. Okay, so you're back and you have your paper and your pencil. Now, any good kindergartner knows that we need to write our name on top before we do anything. So let's come on over and let's write our name. All right, so I'm going to write my name, you write yours, okay? Right at the top. I wrote mine. You go ahead and pause your video and you write yours. All right, so you should have your name on top. You can come back and look at me now. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using our eyes to observe. What we're going to observe is something so easy, our hand. So I want you to think about, which hand do you write with? I write with this hand. So I'm not going to observe this hand. I'm going to observe my other hand, my left hand. I want you to look at your hand really close and see what you notice. You see, when you know you have a hand and you know what it looks like, but when you look at it extra close, you're going to notice even more details. So look at the back of your hand and the front of your hand. Maybe close your fingers and look at your knuckles and just notice everything about it. I see wrinkles, I see fingernails, I see little dots on my fingernails. I see all sorts of different things. Go ahead and do that too. Okay, well, I noticed a whole bunch of things about my hands. And when I notice things, that makes me start thinking about some questions. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and do our first part of our hand activity. So come on over and we're going to look at what we do, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to put your hand that you don't write with on your paper, right in the middle. Make sure your fingers are not touching each other, but are spread apart. Then you're going to take your handwriting hand and you're going to trace your hand. See how I'm doing it? I do all one line. I'm not coloring all over. I'm just making it nice and simple. I'm a scientist that's drawing my observations. Just like Mary Anning and Galileo, they noticed things, and Mary Anning drew pictures so that she could really notice things. All right, so I just traced my hand. Now you've traced yours. Go ahead and pause this video to trace your hand. Okay, so now you've traced your hand, and yours should look kind of like mine, but your hand is probably a little smaller. Now I want you to just look at your hand and notice things on it. What things do you see? Well, I'm starting to notice right away that I have fingernails. So I'm going to add those to my drawing. So I'm going to look at this finger, and I'm going to draw this fingernail and this one. I'm drawing my fingernails on there. And as I notice things, I'm going to also ask myself questions. My first question in my head is, I wonder why I have fingernails. So I'm just going to draw a question mark, which means I wonder something, next to the fingernail, because that gives me some ideas of something I might ask my teachers. And maybe I'll explore it myself. I'm going to keep looking and I'm going to notice, and oh my goodness, my knuckles have so many wrinkles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw some wrinkles in here. That makes me wonder some things, because these wrinkles look a little different than these wrinkles. And these ones, they all look a little different. I wonder about that. These ones go on the side here. So think about what other things do you notice? We already drew our fingernails and our knuckles, but there's probably some other things on here that you notice. Maybe something on your fingernails, maybe there's different colors on them. Maybe there's some lines or patterns on your hand, or maybe you have a freckle. You can go ahead and draw those details on there. Whenever you think of a question, you can draw a question mark next to that part. Okay, you can come back and look at me now. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and make sure you draw all the details that you have and all your questions that you have about what you drew, okay? Now, after you're all done drawing and you have your question marks, because that's the mark that tells that you're wondering something, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to take a picture of this and put it on Seesaw, okay? After you take your picture, you're going to click the little voice record button, and I want you to ask us your questions. So if I was doing it, I would look at this one and I'd think, oh, I have a question mark next to the fingernail. So I'm gonna ask my teacher, what do our fingernails do? Remember, questions ask things like why or how or what. Those are some beginnings of some questions, okay? I can't wait to see your work, and I can't wait to learn what questions you have, and maybe we can figure out the answers together. Bye.